If many independent witnesses speak about the same event, that is real proof. Why are there supposedly no proofs of Christ's resurrection, convincing to a large part of humanity that cannot accept everything we say? This claim is mistaken. What is proof when we speak about real events in life? I will explain what proof is, and the person asking this question needs to understand it. If one person tells me, "I saw a wolf in that forest," I say, "Nonsense, stop it." Another person says it. A third says it. A 10th says it. A 15th says it. Then I say, "Yes, then it really exists." Isn't that so? Is that proof or not? Let them answer. Is that proof when a whole group of people says the same thing? How many people speak about the resurrection of Christ? Open the New Testament. Did they all agree to invent it? Look at how they write about the resurrection. First of all, they clearly did not conspire. If you analyze how they write, you will see it. Atheistic critics in the Soviet era were delighted to say, "Look, one writes this way, another writes that way, a third writes differently. Contradictions." These contradictions are aimed at people who do not understand how real testimony works. In law schools, they used to conduct, and maybe still conduct, the following experiment. A lecture hall is full of students waiting for the professor. Suddenly, instead of the professor, a group of people bursts into the room and stages a fight, a real fight lasting 2 or 3 minutes. Then they all run out. The professor enters, puts on his glasses, looks sternly at the students and says, "You saw what happened? Good. You have 10 minutes. Write down what you saw." They write. The professor collects the papers and begins reading them. Laughter erupts. Why? One student writes, "There were 10 people." Another writes, "There were only 4. One says, "He hit him like this." Another says, "Nothing of the sort. He tripped and fell." A third says, "They almost killed him and dragged him away." A fourth writes, "Nothing happened. They all ran off on their own." They all listen with their mouths open. They were all witnesses, and look at what they wrote. When the professor finishes reading, he puts on his glasses again and says sternly, "Now you understand. When you become investigators, know this. If all witnesses say everything exactly the same, word for word, that means conspiracy. That never happens. Witnesses always differ. Imagination works. 4, 5, 6, 10 people, each sees differently. But they all write about one main thing. And what is that? There was a fight. The fight happened, and the details differ. Now look at the resurrection of Christ. What brilliant proof! 4 evangelists write. Then the apostles write. Luke, as is believed, wrote the Acts of the Apostles. Paul writes. Peter and John write. Jude, not Iscariot, writes. Look how many witnesses there are, and how they write. And again I repeat, these meticulous nitpickers who shout, "Contradictions!" If the early Christians had invented the story, they would have corrected all these differences in the 2nd century. No one dared to correct even a letter. What would it have cost to fix it? Nothing. They could have made one smooth, polished account. But no one dared to touch it. Is this not proof of Christ's resurrection? And look at what the apostle writes. If Christ has not risen, then our faith is meaningless, and we are worse than all people. Think about that. We preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews, foolishness to the Greeks. And with what strength they preached. They went to suffering for this proclamation. Is that not proof? If someone says this is not proof, then I would like to know what they mean by proof. I would gladly listen. What do they mean by proof? Was Napoleon real or not? Do you know that entire works were written claiming Napoleon Bonaparte never existed? They were written as a response to atheists, mocking their approach. If we apply their criteria, soon none of us will have existed either. Imagine 2 people. Born in the same year, baptized in the same year, went to the same school, graduated the same year, entered the same type of institution, married similarly, and, God forbid, died in the same year. Clearly, one of them never existed. One was real, the other is a myth. That's the logic. This is what I call Smerdyakov thinking. Remember the character from the Brothers Karamazov? What proofs of Christ's resurrection do we have? I would say, brilliant proofs, irrefutable. Nothing more is needed.